All right, guys, this is Professor Kreisman again. We've been talking about how the major countries, you see a pattern of colonization. We didn't deal with English. English, we need to focus in a little more simply because ultimately they win. And so we do speak English, and the English countries were the foundation point for our country. In the study of English colonization, I believe that there is a pattern or a set of themes that we can grasp, that if we grasp it, it will allow us to be in a position to better understand not only how colonization happened, but the country itself. How do we understand America in 2012? If you get these themes, you can do it. So here we go. I think if you look at, there's four major themes, and there are, maybe to keep it cute for me to understand it, 2 C's and 2 R's. So these are like foundation stones at the corner of a building, right? And what are these? I'm going to just bend this and show you. Let me get it out here in front. The first is capitalism and Christianity. All right? Please make sure you understand something. When I'm talking about these themes, not only these two, but the next two, I'm not saying that you, to be an American today, have to believe in them now or agree with them. If you don't think capitalism is good for the country, that's totally fine with me. If you don't like Christianity, that's totally fine with me also. I have a personal opinion, but as your professor, that's not really my focus. But I want you to understand the country, these are critical. There's the 2 C's. The 2 R's are risk and rebellion. Okay? You kind of get the idea of risk is connected to going west. There's that picture, rebellion, or we get rebellion. Now, what do I mean by this? How can I defend this with looking at colonization? Let's start off with capitalism. When you look at the colonies, we notice something is that these 5 of the colonies are developed around the idea of making money. Make a buck. It's all about the dollar. These were all in one sense either joint stock companies or proprietary companies. Either the idea of joint stock would be like somebody owns stock in Coca-Cola today, or proprietary would be the idea of somebody having their own private business, a small business. They own it. They're doing it to make money. Now, there may be more things involved in all these places, and there was more things involved in each of these colonies. But these colonies, and of course the Carolinas will ultimately become 2, were developed around capitalism. Christianity, on the other side of the table, was the other major thing. We see again with capitalism in Jamestown, Christianity in New England and Plymouth. Now, that Plymouth was founded by the Pilgrims. They're separatists. They're not Puritans. I'm not sure where this kind of thought process came from. As separatists, they viewed things in England as they needed to separate from the Church of England. Puritans, on the other hand, believed they could purify the Church of England. 2 separate groups. These first 3 colonies, Jamestown coming for money, the Pilgrims next, the Puritans right after them, coming for Christianity. And we see this idea of coming for Christianity in Maryland with Catholics, Pennsylvania with the Quakers, and even the last one in Georgia, the Holy Experiment, which I of course misspelled, as you can see it there, and I don't mind showing you that I misspelled it wrong. I'm fixing it. The Holy Experiment, the idea of Christians serving the poor. Right? This became a key thing. I know now the idea of Christianity here is not our modern version of religious freedom. And you see this from what happened in New England. Even though the New England colonies were established for religious freedom, the Puritans' own versions of that began to cause conflict. And in Rhode Island in particular, with Anne Hutchinson and Roger Williams, and then in Connecticut with Thomas Hooker, these pastors, all 3 of them were claimed to be pastors or religious leaders, led groups away from Massachusetts, which, by the way, had kind of squashed the Pilgrims as a separate group, into their own thing. New Hampshire was a little bit of a mix of Christianity and capitalism, but you get the idea that the version of religious freedom didn't exactly play the way we would understand it today. All right? Capitalism, Christianity. If you see that major beginning foundation, you can understand a ton. What about the 2 R's? Well, risk. The idea of risk is best seen in the early days of pushing the frontier. There's always going to be a frontier that we push. Realize back in the beginning, the frontier of the West was Charlotte, North Carolina, Albany, New York, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So the idea of going west, pushing, and risking all. You could also see a risk financially, sure. Last thing, rebellion. The idea of, if I don't like it, I'm going to fight you. And this emerges very early in our colonization, not only fighting against the other nations, but in Bacon's Rebellion in particular in 1676. Almost 100 years later, the Paxton Boys Rebellion does the same thing. That idea, if I don't like it, I'll fight for it. Capitalism, Christianity, risk, rebellion. Know these, and you know the United States.